While this seems to largely be an issue about the difficulty of integration into South Korean culture, it does also beg the uneasy question. Are some elements of life in the closed, potentially violent and economically unstable North really better than life in the South part of Korea? Absurd low energy consumption. Only a few panels or aerogenerators should be enough to power the whole country. There is compelling evidence that the North Korean government is motivated by domestic power games to cooperate globally on climate change. North Korea has a record of compliance with its obligations as a party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. The obvious question then is why the North Korean government would show such commitment to the international climate change regime, given its belligerent reputation in the strategic realm. The most obvious link is between environmental degradation, the vulnerable agricultural system and the stability of governance in North Korea. The concept of climate change vulnerability is important there. There is no shortage of reasons why people might not care for North Korea. But one thing's for sure, much of its geography is pristine. While it continues to be one of the poorest countries in the world, it is also one of the least polluted. In September 2011, Bloomberg's Paul Allen reported that North Korea was hosting Chinese tourists in an effort to attract desperately needed investment funds from the world's second-largest economy. Grim communist stereotypes soon give way to unspoiled natural beauty, one of the few upsides of having stagnant economic growth, said Allen. Well-preserved culture. Contrarily to the history of Korea, which is highly politicized by both the North and the South, the culture of Korea is extremely well preserved and strongly protected, also in both the North and the South. They still share the same cultural traditions and feel very proud of these. Interestingly enough, the citizens of both the North and the South dance along to the same songs, the songs of Arirang. The population has little or no exposure to foreign cultural influences apart from performances by song and dance groups and other entertainers brought in periodically for limited audiences. Photographer Helena Rock takes stunning images of women who live in a different world without cosmetics, but they still love wearing high heels and colorful outfits. In Western magazines, beautiful women are often photoshopped to within an inch of their lives, plastered in makeup and wearing some usually rather scanty designer outfit. While neighboring South Korea is reported as having the world's highest rate of cosmetic plastic surgeries, North Korean women like to remain natural and authentic. Healthy gastronomy. Beef, tofu and pork chops are the main dishes of the famous Korean barbecue. These are accompanied by sticky rice, kimchi and soup. Common North Korean cuisine is similar to that of South Korea, with less of an emphasis on spice and an extra helping of cold noodles. While North Korea has considerably less fertile farmland than South Korea, common ingredients are generally culled from local farmers or the Pacific Ocean. In the semi-fertile Hwahai province near the South Korean border, local ingredients include corn, rice and seafood. In Pyongyang, a greater emphasis is on meat, bean, and pea dishes to help endure the especially long, harsh winters near the nation's capital. The northerly province of Hamgyong is known for watery, mild dishes using seafood such as clams or cod, plus locally grown vegetables such as bean sprouts and water radishes. While North Korean cuisine has a reputation for being milder than South Korean food, North Koreans use a variety of savory broths and condiments, such as bean paste, sesame oil, garlic, ginger, pepper flakes and chili paste, to flavor dishes. Beautiful landscapes. Although most foreigners are not allowed to visit the countryside, during the 7-hour train from Pyongyang to the border with China, there are picturesque villages, evergreen fields and crystal-clear lakes. In Korean, Kawol means September, and this name indicates beauty of autumn maple trees and mountain. An official nature reserve since the 1970s, Mount Kawol is visited by 500,000 local tourists each year. There are several scenic routes through the mountain area. Natural attractions include rock formations, waterfalls and natural pools. Much of the mountain is covered by mixed broadleaf and coniferous forest and protected in an 18,000 hectares. Some 1,100 hectares has been identified by BirdLife International as an important bird area. You can explore the scenic Mount Kumgang, whose hills are dotted with ancient temples and hidden hermitages. Hike up to one of two dramatic peaks, Sejong Peak and Sijeon Peak. You also can relax after a long hiking day in famous Kumgangsan Spa, where you can experience 100 seawater. In 2009, UNESCO designated Mount Myoang a World Biosphere Reserve, citing its cultural significance as well as the spectacular cliffs providing habitat for 30 endemic plant species, 16 plant species that are threatened globally and 12 endangered animal species. Good-hearted, non-guilty people. The majority of North Koreans don't have anything to do with their leaders' madness and just want to live in peace, in a reunified Korea. North Koreans are highly family and culturally oriented. They care about each other and are generous. The welfare of all their people is paramount. They see themselves as a small country being bullied by an out-of-control USA. Unlike the West, elderly people are not warehoused in old people's home, but are an integral part of the culture. Young people have access to youth palaces for after-school extracurricular activities. Civilized and educated nation. Despite widespread poverty, North Korea is a very civilized nation, with a well-structured educational system and a high level of literacy. North Koreans are very hygienic, which may surprise you if you compare NK with other underdeveloped or even developing countries. They give an absolute priority to social bonds, toleration, and respect for elders, which they regard as civic virtues. Of course, these characters may, and are being, traded on by the totalitarian government. Everyone in the DPRK has access to doctors and hospitals. No one is denied. The quality of care is above average for a developing country. Urban housing is allocated by the government, for free. Everyone is provided with shelter. No homelessness, no begging, no one is dying on the streets alone due to exposure to the elements. The suicide rate is almost zero, lower than just about any other state on earth. This is probably the most amazing statistic of all, the very low suicide rate. Security. It is a very safe country. Crime is virtually unheard of. No gang violence, no drug war, no scams. No one sits in public places and worries about mass shooting or being robbed. The crime rate is about zero, and a woman can walk around the streets of Pyongyang at 3 a.m. without having to worry about a thing. But North Korea's attempts to crack down on illegal activities have not been successful, and bribery is widespread in the country in recent times. North Koreans charged with non-political crimes are sometimes sent to concentration or re-education camps. To avoid harsh punishment that could include weeks of forced labor, North Koreans in custody often actively seek to bribe officers to gain release or a lighter sentence. There's definitely good things about North Korea, despite the absolutely horrific things that take place. They have within them the same admirable traits which have made South Korea such an amazing and wonderful place. Nowhere else in the world is there a more clear example of how dramatically one system of government shapes a society. The DPRK has many positive features despite the West's attempt at demonizing every aspect of their society.